Hi, everybody, and welcome to California Wine Country, home of Sonoma Raceway. Our host for round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. In its 51st year of operation, this 2.5-mile, 12-turn circuit nestled into the hills of Sears Point has almost 160 feet of elevation change from its lowest to its highest point and has a reputation for being incredibly difficult to pass on. Sonoma rewards not only patience, but perseverance. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and together with Larry McLeod, we'll be bringing you flag-to-flag coverage of tonight's 60-minute sprint race here on Apex Racing TV. 3 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, we saw Robert Hartley rise to the top of the heap in the Pro Class, bringing Orion Racing their 3rd win in a row. Is there someone and some team that can challenge that dominance tonight at Sonoma, Larry?
Well, Greg, I think from a team standpoint, there's a big shakeup you're going to have to talk about, and that is that we've been talking all season long about Orion Racing and this monster team that they've got with Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. But this week announcing is Elvis Rankin is now officially an Apex Racing team driver. So when it comes to is there a team that can challenge Orion, I think that might be our answer to lead that off. But we've certainly got other drivers that have an opportunity here. Certainly with John Allen being one of those, if he can keep enough fuel in the car, should certainly be one to contend with, as well as Zach Burke, who had a great run at Watkins Glen a few races back. He's right up there in the points mix. We'll get to that in a little while later. He's another one of those not team drivers that might have a shot to break up some of this Orion stranglehold.
Yeah, that's right. A couple of weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, and you mentioned that Zach had a great run at Watkins Glen. 3 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, both Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak, both of the Canadians running for Esports Racing, they finished 5th and 6th, so they're definitely going to be looking to move up in the order in the Pro Class. But Larry, that move by Elvis Rankin, who has multiple wins here in the series and came into the Pro Class after a very strong year last year in the Open Class, that really is going to change the whole complexion here over the course of this series. But I think you're right. We also need to look after John Allen. He's had a couple of issues short filling that car, not putting enough fuel in. He made it to he finished 2nd at Mid-Ohio 3 weeks ago, but it was awfully close. He came into turn 9,
almost didn't finish that race.
Yeah, it was very, very close, and he only had a couple tenths of a second up on Orion Racing's Travis Schwenke, who finished in 3rd that weekend. So, Larry, as we get things ready, and we've got the drivers, they're finishing up their practice session right now. They're going to be heading out for qualifying here in just a few moments. Why don't we take a look at this wonderful Sonoma Raceway 12-turn, 2.5-mile track with Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to Sonoma Raceway. Great to have you with us as we bring you your track guide today around the longest configuration of Sonoma, this course coming in at 2.53 miles. The uniqueness of this place, well, it brings challenges like no other course out there. As we head up the front straightaway here, we'll notice our flag stand to the left as we come across the stripe to head up into turn 1. Very fast left-hander that'll take you up the hill to this blind and very tricky entrance of turn 2. Down through the gears here, we're going to hang right to the apex of that corner. Off camber coming out, very difficult to track out off that turn. Not a lot of room there. Down into turn 3. This will take us up the hill to another blind entry of turn 3A. Down into turn 4, very heavy brake zone. Tough to get that apex just right here. And again, not a lot of room to track out off that exit. All right, around the bend, we're going to head up the hill into what's known as the carousel, another blind entry here into turn 6. Have a little bit of camber to work with on entry, but coming off exit, boy, the track just drops right out from underneath you. Very tough to get that speed just right off that exit and get that throttle down. Here we go, up the next little straightaway here. This will take us into turn 7. Double right-hander. Make sure you get that rotation just right to come right back down into the second apex. Now we're going to head into the S's of turn 8. Back to the right, back to the left. Get that throttle just right as we head up into 8A and then over the crest of the hill and down into turn 9. A lot of speed through this section here, just a slight tap of the brakes as we enter turn 10, right back to throttle, let the car track out, and then we'll head down into the very difficult, heavy braking of turn 11. Want to get that car to rotate right to the bottom, come right up off exit, and then head towards the final corner here, turn 12, and back out onto the front straightaway. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Sonoma Raceway.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kevin. And there you go. That is a lap of beautiful Sonoma Raceway in California wine country. And, you know, Larry, as Kevin was taking those laps, or took that lap around the course, you know, we were kind of discussing here off mic about the challenges of making your way around Sonoma Raceway and how much of a strain it puts on the equipment here, and for the most part, how much of a strain it puts on the driver. As a matter of fact, you came up with a great nickname for this place.
Yeah, well, you look at this place, and there isn't a straightaway. Everything is constantly bending. Everything's got an elevation change to it, except the turn 11 hairpin. Other than that, everything is up a hill. It's down a hill. It's around a blind corner. This place is brutal on tires, as we see Travis Schwenke spinning out there, coming out of the carousel downhill, which even the carousel is a downhill plummeting off camber sweeper. This place is just very difficult. If you know the famous nickname that Jackie Stewart had called the Nürburgring the Green Hell, this really became the nickname of the Brown Hell, because if it's just brown everywhere, and it is just a hell of a track to try and learn, and just it's brutal on equipment, it's brutal on drivers, and on your tires in particular. Even the asphalt is just a heavy grain type of asphalt that just beats up even on tires. We've watched races there, even something as simple as a 25-minute sprint race sometimes turn into a attrition of tires. Yes. And you think about, we've got an hour in front of us tonight trying to manage tires in a race like this. This place is just not easy to get around.
Yeah, and we're watching right now Mr. Horn here trying to make his way around, and you can see all the drifting that Mazda MX-5 is doing around this course. It definitely puts a huge strain on the tires. And, you know, Larry mentions, you know, of course, calling it the Brown Hell. Larry and I,
by the way, I gotta give John Hunter. I think it was John Hunter that came up with that one. So I'm going to give, if he's listening, that was all him. But it's a great name.
I mean, we've not only called races in iRacing on the sim at Sonoma Raceway, we've called races in real life at Sonoma Raceway as well. And so I think it's pretty clear, Larry, that in many regards the sim is very, very accurate as far as what the racing is like, and what it does to a car for an extended period of time, as we watch John Allen now making his way around. And
there's two things about this place. One is it's hard on tires. It's challenging to a driver's mental state because there's no chance to relax. You can't just like relax your hands, relax your mind, look down at your telemetry for a second, because everything is a bent straightaway entering or exiting a corner. The other thing about this place, because of all of those connected corners, it is next to impossible to pass. And I'm not saying that from a boring race standpoint. I'm saying that from a challenging to the drivers. If you are not on pole, you are going to have a heck of a time trying to get to that #1 spot during the race on track. It's going to take multiple connected corners and multiple maneuvers to make a pass here, because of the nature of this place. That even as you see here is Elvis Rankin going through what's actually turn 1 here is this kink, and then as you get to the top of the hill is going to be turn 1, the right-hander. It's impossible to make that, because as soon as you think you've got the move into 1, you're on the wrong side for 2, and that's how this whole track seems to be laid out.
Exactly. It always seems to be a left-hand turn followed by a right-hand turn followed by a left-hand turn, and you're never on the correct side of the going into a corner in order to affect the pass. A matter of fact, you know, I was watching this weekend. Real life SRO World Challenge was at Sonoma Raceway. And to give you an idea of how difficult it is to pass in the touring car classes, during Sunday's race, there was an incident on the very last lap, or probably the very first lap, going into turn #1, damaged a car so badly that not only did it break the wheel, it also badly bent a rear trailing arm, but more importantly, the car ejected its right rear spring. And this driver managed to hold off almost the entire field. He was, at the time of the incident, he was running second. He managed to hold off the entire field, finished fourth after, and this is in a 40-minute race with a severely damaged car, essentially missing the right, missing a right rear spring. That tells you how difficult it is to affect the pass around here. What you have to be able to do is you have to be able to get in the mirrors and get in the head of the driver ahead of you. All right, so we've got our group now, both our open class and pro class, out on track for qualifying. The way we run things, it's a 15-minute qualifying session. The drivers appear to have the track all to themselves. It's lone qualifying. They have 4 laps in order to set a fast lap. And you can see right now, sitting atop the leaderboard, and he just brought his car back into the pits, is Elvis Rankin in the number 1 car with a fast lap of a 1:45.26. Just about, actually, about a little bit less than a tenth off that is John Allen in the 101 car. We saw him for a little bit there, and then Robert Hartley. If we jump back, this will be a great segue. If we jump back to our open class, sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now is Josh Soto in the number 07 car with a 1:46.54. That is 1600ths of a second, I believe, up on Brennan Horan, who we were also watching a little bit earlier. That, like I said, it's a good segue. If we look back 3 weeks ago to Mid-Ohio, taking the win at Mid-Ohio in the open class was Josh Soto in the number 07 Soto Racing Machine, and he really ran a masterful race, Larry. He was under pressure, quite a bit of pressure from John Allen, or probably not John Allen, from Brendan Horan and also Edgar Sancinelli for the majority of the race, and managed to hold them off. Horan finished second. Sancinelli took the last step on the podium, and then it's a shame we're not going to see him here tonight. But his first and so far only entry into the CSS, into the Classic Sprint Series, 13-year-old Dean Dibdahl in his Dibdahl racing car. He's coming out of World Karting Association. He finished fourth in a great run. But let's go and take a look at where we stand in the points right now in the open class. All right, sitting at the top of the order is our winner from last week. He has won all 3 outings so far in the Classic Sprint Series, and that is Josh Soto in the Soto Racing Machine. Then we've got Edgar Sancinelli. He finished third last week, but he is sitting sitting second in the points right now. You can see he's quite a ways back. He's, I believe, 21 points back right now in the Frito Sport Racing Machine. Then sitting third, we've got Brennan Horan in the number 45 Esport Racer entry. Then the Craney Customs number 97 machine of Jeremy Cranston. Then we've got Derek Holland rounding out the top 5.
And Soto has really had, like you said, he's had great runs in pretty much every race so far. Really hasn't put in a bad race and had that just fantastic finish, even against the pro class last time out at Mid-Ohio. Another one of those tracks, extremely challenging to make passes on, and I expect that Soto's probably going to be a strong one here. As right now, you can see on the he was qualifying about 10th right now against this pro field, right now at the lead with the first position in the open class. So putting himself in a good position to potentially lead another round here with the open field. Yeah,
matter of fact, he finished 11th overall 3 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio, and a lot of the pressure that he was getting were from the pro class drivers. So really did a great job keeping his head about him. So let's jump over to the pro class, and as we mentioned, Robert Hartley took the win 3 weeks ago at Mid-Ohio. John Allen in that 101 car, I think we discussed it already. He's going to be looking to, I don't know, maybe put another half gallon of fuel in his car this time when he goes in for his pit stop. He's had some issues with that the last number of outings. He's in the 101 Defined Auto Works machine. He finished second. Travis Schwenke finished on the last step of the podium, and we've had it sitting up on the screen here waiting for me to tell you here for a couple of minutes. If we go and we look at where we stand in the points right now in the pro class, after 3 outings, it is Elvis Rankin, no longer with Orion Racing, now with the Apex Racing team. He's sitting at the top of the leaderboard with a 4-point advantage over former teammate Robert Hartley. Hartley in the number 3 machine with 94 points, and only 1 point back from Hartley's Zach Burke, the Canadian in the, actually we're showing Mike Dam as oh well, I'll tell you why. It's because they both have 93 points, the 2 Canadians.
Mike Dan likes that number 93, by the way. Just saying, car number, points numbers.
Yeah, exactly. It has a nice ring to it. So Dam and Burke, the 93 car, the 13 car, both sitting in a tie for 3rd right now, and then Travis Schwenke currently sitting 5th in the points, just a few points back from the 2 Canadians with 85.
Yeah, and you look at that and you think about last week or 3 weeks ago, Robert Hartley had taken that win. John Allen was second there. And you look at who wasn't in that top field, is you didn't have Elvis Rankin in that top group. You didn't have Zach Burke in that top podium. Those guys are still up there in the points, which means tonight is a night where they want to get back to that podium finishing ways. And so getting there in qualifying, as we talk about, difficult this place is to pass. This is where you've got to start out. You've got to start out with a difficult to pass track by starting at the front of this field, either on the pole or on the outside of front row.
All right, Larry, this is not quite the norm, but we've got somebody. Maybe he heard us talking about him, or maybe he's over at the Sunoco getting the car filled up right now. We've got John Allen, driver of the number 101 car, with us, and I guess to talk about everything CSS and tonight's race here from Sonoma. John, how you doing tonight?
Good, guys. How are you?
Very, very good. Larry?
Hey, John. So kind of watching qualifying, and right now you're sitting in P2, but tell me about what's going through your mind right now.
Well, it's qualifying through. It's a little bit of a curveball. It's just a 1-lap hot lap deal. So not unlike time trials where I've run into you guys before, but
yes,
just a little bit different discipline. The track is, at least it's one class here, because the etiquette of passing and who's got the right of way with all these switchbacks and the S's, it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully everybody plays nice today. But I tell you, the tracks that I haven't been to in real life that the sim makes me want to get to, this is one of them. It's got that rhythm and undulation like a VIR or a pit race or NCM. Some of the tracks that I like are of this nature. I can't wait to get to it at some point.
We were thinking
it's a really good race.
It's a little bit like a Mid Ohio in ways. It's just constantly ups and downs, those kind of undulations like Mid Ohio has.
Certainly, when it comes to apexes at crests where the car gets light, yeah, that skill set is absolutely an import from there. So I think that's maybe part of why I like it, having some of that real life experience. But going to produce some great racing. Looks like it's really tight up top, even though there was some minimal qualifying opportunity.
So you were saying, John, that you were only able to take a single lap for qualifying as opposed to the normal 4 laps. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So
I'm looking at that right now as well. It looks like there may have been a bit of a glitch in how this was set up. The expectation was 4. When did you guys find out that this glitch happened?
After most people finished their first lap. so there's a little mix up there. Some folks who may have gone a little easier. I know I was talking to Travis Schwenke as an example, trying to get one on the board, warm up the tires. Elvis is outstanding at, getting the pace out of the first hot lap on the tires. I tend to think that they're a little better on their 3rd lap, just with the time they take to come to temps. So he took full advantage of that tonight. I also was maybe leaving a little bit more on the board, but it's a similar group. Still a lot of familiar faces up there. Zach has pace that the qual time doesn't reflect, so it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. You got a fuel strategy for tonight that might be a little better than your past rounds?
That should be priority 1, shouldn't it? Yeah, I guess the key would be, if I choose to save any drafting early, compensate for that when I put the fuel in the event I come out ahead and don't have a draft partner, because that's bit me more than once.
Yeah. Well, good luck tonight. You got a little less than a minute to get yourself kind of ready for this, and it looks like you are going to at least be on the front row, and either you'll be in the train or ahead of the train. Where's your favorite place to pass here? I got to ask.
I guess you'll have to wait and see. I don't want to give away. I have 2 favorite places, and one's a little unorthodox, so we'll see if that opportunity comes.
Okay. we'll be definitely looking for that if it comes down to it at the end.
All right, guys, enjoy.
Thanks, John.
Excellent. Good luck tonight, John.
Thank you.
All right, that was John Allen, driver of the number 101 car. And at the moment, he is sitting provisionally on the outside of the front row, but it looks as though most of our drivers have already set their they've set their single qualifying lap to set the grid.
Every once in a while in this world of virtual sim racing, a glitch happens, and tonight's glitch was it was set up as a 1 lap qualifying instead of a 4, and while the other 14 minutes of time was elapsing, it looks like the drivers are all having a good time. In the text chat, things such as, what do you call an alligator in a vest? An investigator.
Ooh.
You know, yes. Yes. So anyway, things like that. They're throwing jokes around, having a good time, trying to keep it light, considering the situation. But now that the race is finally here, why don't we go through the grid and get this thing underway?
All right, sounds good. Starting off at the front of the field, as John said, he pretty much goes out and goes out full bore, no matter what the situation is. Elvis Rankin, newly appointed driver of the Apex Racing team, is on the pole tonight with a fast lap of a 1:45.261. John Allen will start right beside him. He was only 55 thousandths of a second off of Rankin's times. Starting on the inside of the second row, we've got Robert Hartley in Orion Racing. Zach Burke in the number 13 Esport Racer machine will start 4th. Then we've got Mike Dam from Orion Racing in the number 93 car. He will start 5th with Mitchell Peak 6th. Then on the inside of the 4th row, Travis Schwenke in the number 16 Orion Racing machine. Tyler Shiflett will start right next to him in 8th. David Patton will start 9th. And then our pole sitter for the open class, Josh Soto, will start 10th. All right, starting 11th in the number 41 car from Granite State Racing, it's Tom Rathie. Starting 12th in the Esport Racer 09 car, Jordy Fike. Starting 13th today in the number 2 car, the Esport Racing machine of Greg Mack with Randall McGrew, starting right next to him in 14th. Then we jump over to our second fastest driver in the open class. That is Brennan Horan in the number 45 Esport Racer machine. Edgar Sanchinelli will start in 16th position, right beside Brennan. Starting 17th today, we've got Jeffrey Cranston in the Cranny Customs Racing number 97 machine with Jeff Jacobs right beside him in the number 38 StreetSurvival.org entry. Then we've got Derek Holland starting 19th in the number 80 car with Eduardo Lorente in the number 71 Curie Cavalier Racing machine starting 20th. Then 21st, we've got Greg Brockway and Danny McNulty starting 22nd. Nicholas Parsegino in the number 79 car will start 23rd. Eric Klister will start in 24th. And the hits keep on coming. Michael Key will start 25th. Austin Knight in the Knight Motorsports machine will start 26th in the that's the number 21 car. Then we've got Kevin Ford in the Ricmotech Motorsports number 32 entry will start 27th. And then, well, let's take a look. I greatly doubt the steward is going to start 28th. Yeah, Jake Gortson, Robert Brist, and Patrick Prevenus will round out the field.
I will say one thing about this track in real life races, often they give the pole sitter choice of lane, whether he wants to be in the inside left lane or the outside right lane. Often the pole sitter chooses the right lane here, despite turn 1 technically being a left turn, because turn 2 is a right-hand turn. But in iRacing, you don't get that choice unless somehow this league is giving them the choice. But if Elvis is on the left and John Allen's on the right, it might give John Allen a chance if he gets as good a jump as he could hope for, a little side draft up through 1 to potentially be alongside Elvis on the inside going into 2. Might be one of his best chances for a pass.
Well, there you go, Larry. Yeah, especially with turn 2 being off camber at the top of the hill there, you typically want to be on the inside. That would be the right-hand side exiting that turn. But in discussing this with the stewards earlier today, there is a starting zone for these drivers because iRacing actually throws the flag right as you come out of turn 12 onto the front straight. These drivers pretty much have the opportunity to go as soon as they come out of the hairpin at turn 11. And so we've got the drivers now. They're making their way through turn 10 behind the safety car, coming behind the drag tower here at Sonoma Raceway. When they exit that corner, that hairpin as they're coming down now, it is going to be game on, and you can see that our pole sitter Elvis Rankin, the number
and the
one
back of the
machine,
field's still going to be in the turn, I think, when the front of the field is in the start zone.
Exactly. And so what'll happen here, as Rankin can really control the field, he's going to get on it probably in just a moment here, but you can see him dragging the brakes, and now he is off and he is away, and he gets the jump on John Allen and Robert Hartley as they make their way now finally across the line. Rankin goes to the center of the track to cover, but he now has clear running up the hill, and that is a very steep hill. That is, I believe, 120 feet from turn 1 up to turn 2 as they make their way now through turns 2 over to 3 and 3A as the field starts to get in line here. Good start for most of the drivers, mostly now front to back. It looks like the number 67 car managed to make a pass, making his way around the number 12 car. Jake Gortson gets around Danny McNulty. The number 41 of Tom Rathie gets around Jordy Fike, but Fike fights on back. We can see as they go down in through the carousel what is happening there. But our leader now, Elvis Rankin with John Allen, Robert Hartley close behind, start to make their way out of the carousel over towards turn 7. And here we go. We pick them up on camera now as they're coming into 7 and around that double apex.
Oh, and we've got contact already here in 7.
Yeah.
Things were getting a little bit too dicey. Everybody started thinking they could make that move here on opening lap, and we got a little bit of contact that slowed everybody down and bunched up, and the back group came in and started a little bit of extra contact there, but the front of this field is super clean with Elvis getting away. Had a great jump to start this race. Allen had to work to stay on that inside as Hartley for a moment looked like he had a shot to get inside of him, but not to be. Hartley, then Burke, then Dam, your top 5.
Yeah, and it looks like Jordy Fike was the driver that was most impacted by that impact going into turn number 7. He has now dropped all the way back to 23rd overall. Just now gets around Danny McNulty, so he is now up into 22nd, but that is a loss of 10 positions in just half a lap. As our leaders now come up the hill through turn 2 and start to make their way. You'll see there's that little dip there going into turn 3, but then they race back up. And look at this penalty for car number 2.
That's Greg Mack.
Yeah, that's Greg Mack, and he
was already involved in that. Yep, he's already he's got the self-inflicted penalty, but on top of that, he's going to be given a steward's penalty as well for his involvement there in that turn 7 incident.
All right, so let's take a look now as our leaders make their way down through the carousel. And let's go to a replay here now, and we'll take a look as our drivers come out. They came out of the carousel into turn number 7, and here is that incident now with, we'll take a look here, and Fike goes around, Greg Mack goes around, a little bit of contact there, and Fike has to back that car up before he finally gets back on track and gets back underway. So big loss there for Jordy Fike as we go back and join the action here. Side-by-side action, the 07 and the 64 car.
Yeah, so that's Soto. Yeah, that's your open class leader right now. As we talked earlier, he was mixing it up at Mid-Ohio a couple weeks ago with the pro class. He's doing it again here with David Payton. Yep, and so the two of them now going side-by-side, coming out of the hairpin at 7 all the way through the A8, which is technically, I guess, kind of the kink there at the S's. But you can see these two are just going to be doing this in Soto oppression, but leaving the door open.
That's Tom Rathie right to the inside there, trying to come up. And, of course, that is a battle for position. Rathie and Payton as they come down the front straight here with Soto kind of right in the middle of that pro class battle. It is the battle for 9th in the pro class, whereas Soto, currently sitting 10th overall, is your leader in open.
Yeah, Soto doing everything he can to try and get up. We talked about this earlier as well, how difficult this place is to pass, and it looks like Soto has got the pace advantage over Payton, but just can't quite get by. And then you even saw that dramatic, what looked like was going to be an easy pass for Rathie to go by both of them, and he's still sitting right behind both of them because even with that great run, the other two just stuck to the inside, held them off, and next thing you know, they got the better line going into turn 2. And down through this just picturesque carousel here in turn 6, and just can't make a move. It's difficult. You've got to be just on someone's tail for 2 or 3 or 4 corners in a row to actually make a pass stick. But here in the middle of the pack, that would be your number 13 making a pass in there. I believe.
Yeah, that is Zach Burke. Gets around Robert Hartley going into turn number 7. Great move there. So move Zach Burke now up into 3rd, drop Hartley back into 4th. And again, Hartley was our winner last week in the pro class. I'm sure that's not where he wants to be.
John Allen talked about this in that brief interview, that Zach Burke had pace that wasn't really represented in that 1-lap qualifying. And Burke did set fastest lap in practice leading up to the qualifying session. So I'm not really that surprised by this. It's great to see a pass actually happen. Probably a little bit of a bobble there by Hartley. Left the door open for Burke to make that pass coming out of the turn 7 hairpin. And now Burke's got his eyes set on the top 2 to see if he can crack into that front 2.
All right, so as our drivers now make their way up through the field and up through turn 1, up to turn 2, as you can see here, we've got looks to be about a 6-car breakaway here at the front of the field as John Allen put in the pressure to Elvis Rankin early on in this race as they come up the hill up to turn 3A. And you can see here, as soon as you get up to 3A, it's a blind exit. You roll right back down the hill. And Larry, we were talking about this before, as you come in through turn 4, you know,
the hardest
off
corner
camber.
of this track. Absolutely, yeah. It is. Yeah, because it's a downhill braking zone, it's just difficult in general because you've come across this crest where the car at that 3A, really peak crest, and all of a sudden the car comes down and it never really lands. You never really get the car loaded back on all 4 tires, and now you got to get on the brakes and make this right turn that continues to plummet downhill. And because it does, you just don't have any grip in the car. You're just sort of dancing on ice. As we got a great shot here, if it looks like Derek Holland trying to make the pass on Gertzen going through 6. Might be able to make it stick before he gets up to 7 at the braking zone.
Yeah, let's take a look here. He's still side by side as they come on in.
Oh, we got contact behind him.
Oh, yeah, right back behind them. We had, looks like, was it Holland and Lorente get together?
I think it might be Fike. Yeah, it's Fike and Lorente.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Jordy Fike, who's trying to make his way back up through the field, having some issues there. There's that cone gets tossed around every single lap here in iRacing,
and the worker resets it every time.
Every single time, runs in front of traffic to do it too.
Give that guy a prize.
All right, so as we jump back up to the front of the field here, once again, Elvis Rankin, John Allen. And then running in 3rd is Zach Burke. If we look a little bit further back in the field, we've got Josh Soto currently leading the open class in 10th position overall with Brennan Horn. A couple cars back from there, sitting in 13th overall. He's got Tom Rathie and Randall McGrew, 2 pro class drivers right between he and our leader, Jeffrey Cranston, in the number 97
Big
car.
Big bobble by Horn there going around turn 2. And that's what happens at that corner as well, is we keep talking about the way this track is, a lot of undulations, and even John Allen said at the apex you've got a change in elevation. Turn 2 is a prime example. You said it's about 120 feet of elevation change from the front straight to the apex at 2, and when you turn in for 2, all of a sudden the bottom just drops out and the car gets loose on you, and that's exactly what just happened to Brennan Horn. As we've got John Allen now with a great run down this little short straight all the way to 7. See if he tries to poke his nose on the inside.
And here he comes, coming down the inside, going in and under braking, manages to get around Elvis Rankin. And as they roll through the double apex, right-hander, turn 7, our new leader, the number 101 car of John Allen, Zach Burke, now still sitting in 3rd. Our 4th place runner, Hartley, about 2 car lengths back from there, but John Allen, great move. Now he had the paces. They came through the carousel, Larry. John Allen had pulled up right beside Elvis Rankin, had to drop back just a little bit as he lost grip there on exit, but had a great run going into 7 as they come now down into turn 11, into the hairpin, and John Allen manages to hold on there.
Yeah, Allen really being the aggressor here. Like you said, he got a great run there and made that move, and Elvis wasn't going to heavily defend it. He knew that he was beat. Figured he could just, wait for another day. And even now, he's going to play a little bit of patience at this point. He knows this is a long race. No sense in fighting too hard at this point, losing too many spots. As long as he can stay in the top 2 or 3, it's fine. He's still got to have a pit stop later in this race. No sense in making a big deal out of nothing at this early stage.
Exactly. So we're just shy of 10 minutes into this 60-minute race. And, of course, these drivers, they are going to have to have to bring their cars in for a pit stop, and you know, we had the cars filled up with about 60% of the gas full. Pardon me, what the gas tank can handle. It's about a little over 7 gallons as they went out on track. That should give them about 25 to 26 laps here on track, and we suspect that the race is going to go 34. So they're definitely going to have to come in for more fuel, but that also opens up and makes a very large pit window. So it's going to be really up to Elvis Rankin to determine when he brings that car in and whether or not he thinks he can get the undercut done if he can't make the pass here back out on track.
The only caution I would say to any driver thinking of an undercut here at this track is traffic, because to even pass a lapping car is so difficult. You're going to be stuck behind somebody for several corners. It's going to just kill your lap times. I would suggest anybody who's got a shot in this front group that if you can't pit with the leaders or you can make a pass on track, save fuel and wait for the end, because trying to do an undercut here is just it's a very difficult task.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, there's also the question here, as we've talked about how hard this track is on a car's tires, whether or not any of these drivers would risk taking on new rubber as part of that pit stop. That is going to be something that we need to watch as well as this race unfolds. You know, again, the deal is if you take any longer than your competitor in the pit lane, you're going to have to deal with everything that we've mentioned as a detractor, and that, you know, the biggest one here is how difficult it is to pass, as we watch Tom Raffy here in the number 41 car.
Take a look at this battle. You notice who's in the front of this train. Josh Soto has made the pass on David Payton, so he was able to somewhere make that pass and get by him. Now he's technically running in the open class, not in the pro class, but he's certainly showing he's got pro chops to be able to run with this group, and he's even putting a little bit of daylight now between he and David Payton and the rest of the group back there. He's got his eyes set on Tyler Shiflett, who's a couple seconds up the road, trying to see if maybe he can make a run to try and catch Tyler, probably about 3 seconds or so ahead of him there for 8th place.
All right, and for those of you that are at home and you're wondering how we know who's in which class, the pro class drivers have the black mirrors on their cars. The open class drivers have the red mirrors on their cars. So you can always tell what class they're in by that. All right, as we now go back to the front of the pack here with our leader, John Allen, as he brings the field now down through turns 8 and 8A into turn 9 and 10. And you can see as those cars get all that slip angle coming out of turn 10, back behind the drag tower here, and into the final hairpin at turn 11. And John Allen, Elvis Rankin, and Zach Burke using every last inch of the pavement there, bringing the left-hand side of the car right up to the wall.
Yeah, and this place is just so twisty and bendy. It doesn't even have the longest straightaway anywhere. The fastest point of this racetrack is basically the braking point for turn 10, which is just kind of crazy. You think about it, for, you know, compared to other tracks where they'll have a really long straightaway. Here, it's the turn-in point for another corner is the only spot you've got to set any kind of a reasonable top speed in a car. Just the nature of this beast, it's extremely difficult to find any place to get any kind of run on anybody. Yeah. Which is right now, again, I'm sure David Payton is struggling a little bit right now, and you can see that with Josh Soto pulling away, and Tom Raffy is just doing everything he can to try and get by.
Yeah, Raffy and McGrew right there.
Yeah, I think both
trying
of them,
to get by.
Whoever can get by, if they can both get by Payton, are going to quickly be catching back up to Josh Soto, but they just can't seem to get by, and Payton's doing a great job of driving a very wide ND MX-5.
Yeah, and right behind that battle with Peyton Raffy and McGrew, we've got Brendan Horan, who is currently sitting second in the open class. Here we go. We should be picking him up now as they come now into turn number 7. He's in the rear of that pack. There he is, and you know, he has to make his way around these 3 pro class drivers just to get clear and get up to Josh Soto, who is the lead car in that train. So Horan definitely has his work cut out for him in the open class right now.
He really does, and yeah, it doesn't help that he's got these other cars in front of him at this difficult place to pass, but he's doing everything he can to try and catch up and maybe have a shot once we get to that pit exchange to do something. Now this might be a pass here, as Raffy might be able to get down to the inside under braking to get by David Payton. It's going to be close, though, because Peyton's going to get the run, but
he
I think he
turns
might be able
in
to make
very,
the pass.
very early. Going to run out of track on exit, but looks like he might have gotten it done. I was going to say, Larry, that going into the hairpin there, is really the one traditional braking corner. You mentioned the high speeds coming through 10 and the highest speed here on track, and it sets you up for the biggest braking moment here at Sonoma Raceway as we watch that battle now making its way up out of turn 2 and down into turn 3.
Yeah, the other one is the one where we had seen John Allen make the pass on Elvis Rankin. That's going into 7. The difficulty there is that everyone seems to get about the same run coming off the carousel of 6, so it's hard to really make that pass in 7. John Allen did a fantastic job of doing that earlier. So you got a good shot of them in that same exact exit of the carousel here, heading down this little short straight. If you can get that run, it just isn't always the easiest to do because it is a kind of a fast entry then into this relatively slow hairpin. So kind of a wide hairpin. It's not a traditional hairpin, but it is a relatively slow and hard braking zone going in.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard braking zone going in. The other thing is there's a big tendency there to turn in a little too early for the first apex, which will and I know this quite well, and it will end up pushing you wide going through the second portion of the turn, which definitely opens things up and gives the opportunity for another driver to sneak underneath you and make their way through the S's.
Well, Robert Hartley's now doing a much better job. He's into his rhythm. He's caught up to this front 3. Remember, there was a little bit of daylight between Zach Burke and Robert Hartley a couple laps ago. Hartley has made sure that either the front 3 have slowed down a little bit, which I don't believe they have, or Hartley's finally kind of gotten into his groove and made sure this pack isn't going anywhere. As our previous round winners, round 1 was Elvis Rankin in that fantastic finish we had at Road Atlanta in round 1. And then, of course, in round 2, we had Mike Dam taking the win at Watkins Glen. And then last time out, we had Robert Hartley taking the win at Mid-Ohio. And so you see these guys currently running in 2, 4, and 5 in this 6-car train to lead this field. So points are at a premium. These guys with wins know that they've got a bit of an advantage, a bit of a leg up, whereas guys like John Allen don't have a win yet. Zach Burke doesn't have a win yet. So they're a little hungry and need to get one. But the other guys know that points at a premium, the higher position you can get, even if it's one spot, could mean the difference at the end of the year.
All right, we're watching again that battle between McGrew and Peyton. Yeah, as they roll down, and looks like the 67 of Randall McGrew having some issues coming through turn 4. And Larry, you said it yourself there. It's off camber, it's downhill, and when you get on the brakes to go in into that complex, to drop down into the carousel, the tendency of these cars is to push, not to oversteer. And it looks like the 67 car had a little bit of problem there, actually woeing the car down, and Tom Marathi was able to sneak right underneath him.
We've got a little bit of a break at the front of the field here as Allen and Rankin have broken away from Dam and Schwenke, and I don't see a Zach Burke. He's dropped back to 7th. Something has happened to Burke here that has also now broken this front of the field up dramatically.
Yeah, and you can see now as he's coming down the inside, I'm wondering if he broke something.
And I see Hartley and Burke both now kind of crawling along there. Yeah, there they are. Did not see what happened, but certainly has shaken up the top. What was a group of 6 is now down to a pack of 2, followed a couple seconds back now by Dam and Schwenke and Peak, running 3, 4, 5. Well, that takes Burke out of this. Right now, he's got a lot of work to do to get back in. As I mentioned, he was one of the ones that doesn't have a victory yet, but was up there, had some really great finishes.
All right, let's take a look here now as we've got our leaders, John Allen and Elvis Rankin, coming down into turn number 4, as you mentioned, with that huge breakaway. And John Allen with perhaps his largest lead of the race at a tremendous 2 car lengths here. As we go back and let's watch the replay here and see if we can pick up exactly what happened to Zach Burke as our drivers now make their way through into turn number 7, and look at that. I don't think there was any contact there, Larry. I think Burke just put the car around.
Well, it's one of those, my least favorite term, net code contacts, where somewhere across one of the drivers, calculations in the sim says, I think there was contact, so I'm going to make it go around. It didn't really look like much, and visually it doesn't look like contact, but mid-corner it was. The great thing there was Hartley didn't keep going. Hartley gave the position back, which I absolutely love. It's great sportsmanship. Unfortunately, the 2 of them are now 6.5 seconds back and have a lot of work to do to catch back up to their positions they were in 3rd and 4th.
All right, as we jump back a little bit, we're going to take a look at that battle between Burke and Hartley as they make their way through the S's now. Here out of turn number 10 under braking. There goes that cone again. Under braking now. And as we go down into 11, absolutely murdered that thing as they come through. And you can see now is Zach Burke has about 2 car lengths.
I will say, if anybody's got the pace here to catch up and make this ground up, it's going to be Zach Burke with Robert Hartley helping him out. The fact there's 2 of them together, they can do a little bit of push drafting along, but I think Zach Burke, as John Allen mentioned earlier, and we know Zach had the great practice time, Zach might have the best pace of anybody on this track, and with still 40 minutes to go in this race, Zach isn't out of this yet.
All right, and there you go, and you can see that...
things like that happening, with a loose John Allen coming around the crest of 3B there, things definitely leaving the door open for the folks behind him to catch back up.
Yeah, and so you may have just seen that there was a note from race control that incident between Burke and Hartley is under review. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how that plays out as John Allen makes his way out of the carousel. And I've been watching the last couple of laps here, Larry. John Allen definitely getting a little bit more loose here as this race continues on. Rear end walking around on him quite a bit more. You can see there, steps out just a little bit out of turn 7 and on its way. Rankin doesn't seem to have those issues at this point, although we were watching here going through the S's, kind of sawing at the wheel. But it might be getting to that point as we're only about 20 minutes into this race where keeping after the equipment might start to be a challenge for our drivers up at the front. You know, if you remember John Allen, when we talked to him towards the end of qualifying, his strategy was to sit back and hopefully get into the draft, and just didn't work out that way for him.
Well, I mean, if you can't sit back and be in the draft, you may as well be in the lead. And so Allen's up there in the lead now, but you're right about saving that equipment. We're only 21 minutes into this 1-hour race, and he's working very hard. That car is getting chucked around a lot. We've talked, too, about how difficult this place is on tires. Elvis Rankin just saving the car a little bit behind him may have more pace at the end of the race. And if Elvis is collecting data running behind John Allen, if they are sitting in this positions with 10 minutes to go in the race, Elvis then may have enough data to know where is John Allen's weak point, where can he make a pass.
All right, we're on board right now watching Austin Knight in the number 21 Knight Motorsports machine. You can see him on track. You can see him in what may be his living room on the right-hand side of your screen right over there as he's trying to make his way around. Austin Knight battling it out right now with the number 71 car, Eduardo Lorente. That is currently the battle for 4th in the open class, 17th and 18th overall.
Well, it does look like, going back to the incident there between Hartley and Burke, Hartley was assessed a penalty. Hartley now dropped back to 11th. Burke, though, slowly gaining ground. He was about 6.4 seconds back. Now he's less than 6 seconds back of the leader. He's currently just about 3 seconds back of catching the 3-4-5 pack of Dam, Schwenke, and Peak. So Burke's certainly not out of this yet.
No, and obviously the incident makes things much more difficult for him. But remember, John Allen was saying that he thought that Burke had the pace throughout the practice. Of course, didn't have the opportunity to show it in qualifying. Started 7th tonight, had already worked his way up into the top 4, and and then obviously had this issue here as we jump back to the front of the field with our leaders: John Allen, the 101 car, Elvis Rankin, the number 1 car, as they make their way through. And now we're getting word that Hartley has taken to the pit lane. So he's sitting in 11th right now, and
I will say, for a drive-through penalty, this place has got one of this in Road America, like the longest pit lanes ever.
Pit lane. Yeah,
I think the actual time stamp or the speed limit doesn't hit until you've gone around the outside of the hairpin at 11. But you still have to go past one half of the pit lane. It jogs over, goes through the second half of the pit lane, and you have to do that all at pit lane speed limit maximum. Oh, it's brutal.
All right, as we jump back on board with John Allen and Elvis Rankin coming out of the carousel, and you can see now sitting in 3rd, Mike Dam. He's about 10 car lengths back from our leaders. Travis Schwenke starting to make up a little bit of ground on Dam as well. We'll have to see if this can close in. And then Mitchell Peak in the peek in the number 56 car, you can see he's at the tail end of that train making his way through, but he is not very far off the 16 of Travis Schwenke. Things are definitely starting to close up, and you know, we'll have to see if they can get back up to our leaders.
Yeah, they I think their biggest help will come when Burke catches them, if Burke ends up being at the front of them, because he can pull them along. You can see Burke just barely poking in the background there as he comes out of the kink of 10 behind that battle. But these two at the front are still running an amazing pace. They're still running, you know, at the high 45 per lap.
Yeah, they're only about a half a second off of their qualifying time, or probably off of their best laps, not their qualifying times. But things have not changed. They have been running for the most part in the high 45s now for the past 10 laps or so.
And I think a lot of that is owed to Elvis Rankin's patience right now. We saw him more or less give the position up when he knew he was beat going into 7 earlier in this race. And now he's not pressuring that much. He's just letting Allen dictate the pace and just going. Now Mike Dam's catching them. But he knows that if he does too much pressuring, it's going to turn into a 5-6 car battle again. He just wants to get through this race and turn it into fewest cars possible, as Hartley struggles coming around 10 there. Yeah, I think for his sake, he just wants to keep this down to a few cars possible and get this thing to the end of the race and try to make a fight for the win.
All right, we're back on board here with Greg Mack in the number 2 machine, currently sitting 13th in the pro class. He's lost 7 positions overall. He's trying to find his way back up through the field after having that early penalty here, and you can see he's mired in the middle of the red mirrored open class cars as he tries to make his way through.
And he's got Hartley, who also just served his penalty as well. So these two penalty compatriots here of trying to make their way back through the field. And I would say Hartley has obviously got the pace here. Hartley is urgent to get by both of them at this point to try and see if he can salvage a top 10 out of this race.
Yeah, and you could see as he went for it going down into the carousel, trying to get things done here. And we'll watch now as they roll on out. They have right near them, I believe, that is the 79 car of Parsonjo. And both Hartley and Mack get around the 79, the number 2 and the number 3 side by side. Oh, and do we have some contact there between Parsonjo and the 79 close. And the number 2 car? Looks like it as they came through turn 7.
That was very, very close. Yeah, you know, Mack was just barely clear of Parsonjo. Parsonjo kind of slipped on behind him. No harm, no foul. They didn't actually go anywhere with it, but it might have just been a bit of graze of nose to rear bumper. But the winner of that 3-way braking zone there was definitely Hartley, who goes from the middle of the threesome to the inside on the exit, and now he's got clear track in front of him for a couple of laps.
Yeah, next in line for Hartley will be Tom Rathie. But as that happens, and as we have some of our pit stops underway, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with you in just a few moments. You're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Elite Texas Graphics.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
What a race this has been, and 3 wide to the lead. Oh, we almost lost it.
The official Road to Indy E-Series returning to iRacing Wednesday, 6:45 Eastern. Catch all the action live right here on Apex Racing TV.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And we're back with the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Elite Texas Graphics here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry McLeod, and we are back here watching this action. We're watching this great battle going on right now with Hartley and McGrew.
Yeah, I got a couple battles. Got the Hartley McGrew going on here. This is the battle for 11th, but for a moment there, we also had the battle there. I think it was between Peyton and Cranston, which is actually for, it says 8th for Peyton in the Pro, 2nd for Cranston in the Open. These guys are actually 9th and 10th on the track. You look at it that way, I think. So you got battles really everywhere right now, and that's kind of the way this track kind of flows, is you end up matched up with somebody. Good Lord, look at the amount of curving that Peyton takes there.
Every last inch of that curving.
Apparently Mazda makes bicycles too. Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah, either bicycles or low-powered aircraft, and there you go as they make their way back up. Let's jump back up.
We're going to go
this
three
is
wide.
A great battle. Yeah, this is the battle for 4th right now with Zach Burke and Mitchell Peak as they are side by side as they work their way up towards turn number 3 and then back down the hill. And that closed up during our break, Larry. If you remember when we went to break, there was probably around 7 or 8 car lengths between those two cars, but Mitchell Peak now in the 56 really closes things up on the 13.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Burke making his way back through, as he was the one who had the issue there with Hartley going into 7 about 10 minutes ago. Burke now back up to 4th, but he's 7.5 seconds behind your leaders, Allen and Rankin, and he's still got about 4 seconds to catch up to Travis Schwenke, who's done a fantastic job tonight of just staying clean and just staying up there. He's going to want to try and just put his head down and just keep going and not worry about what's happening behind him, because Schwenke, like I said, he's just been solid tonight. You know, he's not quite. He kind of got he got shuffled back when the issue happened between Burke and Hartley. He was running right behind Hartley, so he wasn't able to quite stick to the back of the draft of Elvis Rankin when they got that break. But he also didn't get stuck with Peak when Peak had his issue here, and Burke got by him. And now Burke is a full 3.5 seconds or so behind Schwenke as our leaders are in the pits.
All right, as our leaders come in the pits, Larry, I've also been watching our driver who won in the open class last week and trying to see what's been going on here. But Soto had been sitting in the pits for an extended period of time, and he's come back out, but he's rejoined now in 20th position overall. And you know, it seemed as though it was perhaps a little longer than expected here as we jump back up. And this is the battle right now. We've got Sancinelli, who are following on track
Jacobs,
right now. Yeah,
and I think it's Eric Klister possibly just behind him. Yep. So Jacobs always known for driving a very wide car, and this is a track that really rewards driving wide cars. Yes. As Sancinelli is going to really have his struggles to get by him. But what fantastic battling going on between these guys, as Jacobs is just trying to be precise, just to try to hold Sancinelli behind him. As Sancinelli trying to stick his nose in, maybe coming around out of the hairpin, maybe even going into a little bit of issue there for Sancinelli. Might have got himself, or did he hit it? He did, yes.
Yeah, he
turned in too early.
Put the car around.
He might have gotten one of those tire stacks, and in iRacing, they don't move.
No, they don't. Of course, we were watching that as you've also got Jeff Jacobs, number 38 driver, here with his in-home cam, so you can see all the action here as he makes his way around, both on track and in his living room.
Yep. A couple things worth noting. Obviously, we got still watching Robert Hartley make his way back through the pack here. He's currently in 9th, but But again, you've also got the open class drivers in between them. But I also want to just quickly note, we'll catch up with them in a few minutes, as Elvis Rankin did come out ahead of Allen after their pits when they went in together. And in between them on the track is a Mike Dam. So really, Elvis Rankin must have been doing a fantastic job of saving fuel, or John Allen scared himself into taking on too much fuel after 2 weeks in a row of struggling with fuel loads.
All right, Larry, let's jump over. We're going to take a look at that replay that we saw earlier with the 57 car, the Freedom Sport machine going around, and he just came all the way down to the inside to the apex of the hairpin and impacted those tires.
So yeah, when you see the NASCAR races here and you see those cars hit those, yeah, they move. Well, here in iRacing Sim World, they don't move.
It's like he ran into a Jersey barrier.
Yes.
As we were watching, as we just saw a great view of John Allen, our former leader, coming out of turn 10, and it wasn't the first time we saw him do it, but he had the whole four-wheel drift thing going on there, and put the car four wheels in the dirt and continues on. But you know, Larry, before he and Rankin went to the pit lane, you know, I mentioned that it looked as though John Allen, I don't want to say he was overdriving the car. I don't think he was overdriving the car, but it looked like he was putting a lot more effort into it than Rankin was. And, you know, maybe Rankin was able to actually conserve a little bit of fuel there on the run behind John Allen, and just didn't need to put in nearly as much. Either that or, you know, again, playing on past precedent, John Allen may have overfilled the car as well. Or
I'm wondering if something else, though, because Allen is about 10 or 11 seconds behind Rankin. This isn't just a 2-second gap between them. This is a significant amount of track time between them. So Allen either took on tires that Elvis Rankin didn't, or maybe when he came out he had an issue or missed his pit box, or there's a variety of other things that can happen when in doing a pit exchange that Elvis Rankin appears to have done a lot cleaner and quicker than John Allen, which is unfortunate for Allen because he really could have used a good points finish here tonight. But Rankin, however, is already back up to 4th in the pro. Dak Burke has got the lead over Mitchell Peak. Yep. And a lot of these drivers, only your top 5 there right now, or top 4, I should say, are the ones that have not pit yet.
And we're watching right now Robert Hartley, who had that earlier penalty. He's currently sitting in 12th, all over the back of Shiflett in the number 24 car. And you can go, and running into the wall. That is the second time we've seen something like that happen. That was the 41 of Tom Rathie, who went in, and he took another driver with him, Greg Mack.
Brockway, I believe.
Was it Brockway?
I think it was the 62 of Brockway. Yeah, the other Greg. Yeah, unfortunately for him, because he really just kind of became the innocent bystander in that when the car in front of him just suddenly stops moving. Oh, it's unfortunate. And now you're past the pit in, so you can't, like, you can even go in and try and get a repair.
You need to either get a tow or drive it all the way around if you can limp it around, but that's an entire lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough.
Good battle here right now. This is the Austin Knight against Lorente. Here the battle right now for 2nd in the open class.
And now I don't believe either of these drivers have gone in for their pit stops as of yet. So I wouldn't expect them to sit that high in the order. Let's jump back and watch the replay here again with the number 41 car as he comes through. That's Tom Rathie, and Rathie goes and just absolutely pounded that tire bale, and then, as you mentioned, getting caught up in it, Brockway, just with nowhere to go.
He tried to avoid it too, but the car was already bouncing toward him. Was Tom's car. He just could not avoid him at all, and Brockway just kind of get caught up in it. This is back to action on the track. This is, of course, Elvis Rankin and David Payton. Elvis making the pass there.
Payton looks like just gave the corner, gave the hairpin up to Elvis Rankin, let him on by. And now heading into the pits. That was
Eduardo Lorente.
Yeah, that was Lorente heading on in.
This is back to, looks like Brockway was able to continue with Jeff Jacobs now hounding him. Brockway with just a light amount of damage. You can see they're on that right front. Well, it's so tempting too to cut those apexes tight to those tire stacks. But the penalty is harsh. We've seen it already twice in the last couple of laps. Penalty is severe if you catch a nose on one of those.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, you've got a couple choices there. You can either hit the tire stacks, or you can understeer and push.
Contact there as Jacobs got to the back. Hill. Yeah, Jacobs got to the back of Brockway under braking going into 2. I think they were both able to continue, but definitely some contact.
Yeah, Brockway not having the best of luck the last couple of laps here, as we watch now as the number 13 car. Zach Burke makes his way around Travis Schwenke, and sitting right back behind them we have John Allen. And so Allen has made up a lot of ground here the last couple of laps, but he is currently sitting 7th in the order here, and I think the only driver ahead of him that has not pitted yet, the 64 of Dave, and actually, as I say it, David Payton comes down the pit lane, both he and Mitchell Peak.
Yep, they were the last two of that front group. I think Austin Knight and Greg Mack might be the only other two in the field right now that probably haven't pit yet. But these guys have some work to do because Elvis Rankin is going to be about 10 seconds ahead of them. And you look at the pace he's putting in as a spinning car just kind of went right off of there.
Well, that was Austin Knight that went inside to the area that for a time was actually used by IndyCar as some auxiliary pits when they had too many entries for the rather short pit lane here at Sonoma.
Zach Burke, big slide there going through two, and just kind of had to check up there. Was John Allen behind him, but these guys going to be battling it out. But if you look at the standings up there, now you can clearly see Rankin with Dam about 4 seconds back. They've all pit. Schwenke, Burke, Allen, you see these three, and then Mitchell Peak about another 3 seconds behind them. These three right now are fighting for the third step of the podium, and they are way behind Dam and Rankin. My only theory here is that Rankin and Dam may not have taken tires, and maybe these guys did. I just speculation because I really quite can't tell based on pit times. I could just tell that Elvis Rankin's pit stop was very quick.
Well, we still have about 20 minutes left to go in this 60-minute race. It's a long way to go to make that car last on the original set of tires here, as we have side by side between Burke and Schwenke going into 7, and John Allen just not quite close enough to make up the ground. Now, remember, John Allen was talking about some of those unorthodox places to pass, and if I remember correctly, one of them was right about here.
Yes.
At turn 8, I remember this from a prior series where he made a pass coming through the S's that I never expected him to make. Certainly didn't pull it out of his hat this time by, as they now fan out going down under braking into turn 11.
Well, this is what you can do. This is the only way to make passes here is you've got to really stick yourself alongside somebody and stay there for consecutive corners, force them into a bad exit finally, and then maybe you make the pass on the subsequent corners. If you can't do that, passing is going to be difficult. I mean, not that that's an easy thing to do. Certainly, I'm not skilled enough to do it. But we'll see if these guys who are definitely possessive of those skills are able to make those kinds of passes work. Meanwhile, Elvis Rankin, who is just by himself, isn't going to have to worry, not even just by himself on the standings. It's not even another car in the shot, as he's just free lapping, running in the 145s. Meanwhile, that pack of three we just saw are lapping about 6/10 behind him, or 7/10 a lap behind him, not helping themselves at all to try and make up ground to fight for this win.
Yeah, no, so, the advantage as we watch Soto, who is currently sitting second in the open class. Brendan Horan, currently the leader, he's 3 cars up. But as we watched Rankin make his way around, I mentioned, well, there's still 20 minutes to go in this race, and it's a long way to nurse those tires till the end. But if he's got a 4-second lead on Mike Dam right now, I'm not saying he has to take it easy, but he does have the liberty of being able to lay back just a little bit and maybe not push the car as hard into every single corner as any one of his fellow competitors, and has as good a chance of any to make those tires last. As we watch the battle right now with Horan, who is our leader in the open class, and Randall McGrew, who's currently running 9th overall and 9th in the pro class, as they make their way through now into turn 7. And looked like Horn gave up just a little bit of ground there going under braking into turn 7, but still a pretty tight battle. A little bit further back from there, great battle that's been going on for a number of laps with Jake Gortson, David Payton, and then our second place runner, former leader in the open class, Josh Soto.
Yeah, and Soto has slipped a little bit through the whole pit exchange with Horan now leading the open class. So Soto has definitely got his work to do to see if he can make it up in the next 17 minutes. But first he's got to deal with what's in front of him. He'd like to try and get by these guys, although they're not racing for class. He would like to get by them for a position and have a shot at catching Brendan Horan, who's a couple of spots up the road. Yeah,
and so I'm wondering if perhaps Soto did take at least 2 tires during the pit stop. His pit stop was minute 4 and change, and Brendan Horan's about 55 seconds. All right, let's jump back and watch here as we got the 16, the 13, that was Schwenke going around in the number 16 car. So both Zach Burke and John Allen clear of Travis Schwenke, drop him now back into 6th. Then Hartley in the number 7 car, or probably in the number 3 car just back from there.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of keep my eye on that to see what happens with that gap. Mike Dam not able to chip away at it. As we know, we talked about this at the opening. Would anybody able to challenge one of the Orion drivers for a victory? As we had seen 3 different Orion drivers taking victories in their first 3 rounds. And here we sit with 15 minutes to go in this race. We have 2 of those 3 drivers that have victories now on different teams, with Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. You know, one of them now being an Apex Racing driver, and the other, of course, being an Orion driver. And then you've got Zach Burke, who's one of our esports drivers, currently in 3rd, doesn't have a victory yet, but he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to make up 12 seconds. And the other driver, of course, that has a victory is Robert Hartley. He's 26 seconds back. But the rivalry has been, whether it's here in the Classic Sprints or whether it's in the sports cars or whether it's in the World Challenge, has been between Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam. And Mike Dam is slowly fading back away from Elvis Rankin, and this race is kind of falling to Elvis Rankin right now. If Mike Dam's got anything left in his tank, he's going to have to use it now to make a fight out of this thing, then bring this rivalry right back up to the final laps. But it's got to happen now.
All right, well, let's jump back up, and we just saw Soto get around David Payton. He's got Jake Gortson in his sights, and I'll tell you, Brendan Horan only about 50 car lengths up from there. So Soto definitely not out of it yet, as we mentioned. Took about a 10-second longer pit stop than our leader in the open class right now, Brendan Horan. Might also add, because we haven't shown them for a while, Jeremy Cranston currently running 3rd in the open class. Austin Knight, who we were on board with a little bit earlier, running in 4th. Eduardo Lorente running in 5th in the open class.
Yeah, great battle here. As again, Jeff Jacobs seems to find himself in the middle of these things, just ahead of Jeffrey Cranston, right behind him. Jordy Fike in front. Jordy Fike has just had one of those ups and downs kind of days. We saw him on the opening laps in the middle of a little bit of contact. Saw him again a bit of an off lap or 2 later. Seems to have settled things down, but he's right here in this battle now for 12th in the pro class with Jeff Jacobs. Now Cranston, of course, is in the open class, but it's a battle nonetheless between the 3 drivers.
And we've got Jeremy Cranston right now running 3rd in the open class. He is the trailing car in that battle right now for 14th in the pro class here, as they try to step their way through. And as we see here, the 09 car of Fike, I don't want to say he got it wrong, but had a little bit of trouble going into turn 7 as they make their way through the S's here. And real exciting to watch these Mazda MX-5s as they bound over turns 8, 8A, and 9. Lot of slip angle there. The rear ends of the car is really stepping out, and again, you can see where Sonoma Raceway definitely puts a hurt on the rubber here on these MX-5 cars.
You want to make the car slide. That's the way that they're fast. There's a little bit of slip angle to them. That's the only way these things work. And from the baseline setup that iRacing gives you, the car pushes. When you start going into non-fixed setup races, like these are definitely an open setup race, you start to make the car loose, and you find out that the looser you can make it, the faster it gets.
Faster it'll be.
Yeah, and which means you've got to have fast hands, fast feet, smooth feet to be able to make these things quick. And you see what happens when a driver just doesn't quite have it perfect. It slides a lot, but you'll see a lot of slip angle, because that's the way these cars need to be going. It's a lot of transition through those S's of 8 and 9. The cars will be slipping and sliding a lot. Just the nature of this beast to make these cars fast.
All right, we're back on board here with Travis Schwenke. Remember, Schwenke was up in that battle, that 3-car battle for 3rd, ended up looping the car, and he now is sitting here in a battle with Brendan Hartley, or probably not Brendan Hartley, Robert Hartley, in the number 3 car. That is the battle for 6th. Now, Hartley started off on the inside of row number 2, started off in 3rd. He's currently sitting in 7th, so he's dropped 4 positions overall as they make their way now down under braking going into turn 11, the 2 teammates here as they work their way through.
Yeah, and the biggest chunk of that was back to the incident that he and Zach Burke had going into 7, where that, quote-unquote net code, or that light contact that unfortunately caused Zach Burke to go around. Hartley gave the position back, but stewards ruled, and rightly so, it was Hartley's fault for the contact. He was penalized with a drive-through. That caused him to lose a lot of this ground. Had that not
to this battle right now We've got Brendan Horan, who's currently your leader in the open class, and he's got Randall McGrew, who's running 10th in pro, running 9th in pro, right behind him. Then we've got Josh Soto. Soto is still about 5 seconds off of this battle right here, so he's got a long way to go, but you can see he's made his way clear of most of the traffic. He's got Gortson right behind him, but it's still a long way to go here, as we only have about 8 minutes left in this 60-minute race. And just back behind there, back to this battle that we've been watching we've got Jacobs, Cranston, and Fike. As Fike gets around Cranston, at least momentarily. They're side by side, making their way through the S's. Might have had a little contact there.
Just innocent contact, just a light little bit, but no one losing really any kind of ground other than just the momentum lost, and Jeff Jacobs saying, "Hey, you guys just keep battling behind me. I'm okay with that."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure he's very happy to have that. To have
Cranston
that happen.
Run wise in 10.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Cranston being in the open class, Jacobs and Fike in that battle for 12th in pro. As the 97 car gets a little loose coming out of the hairpin.
Yep. Fike able to take advantage and get himself up, and they'll battle again here in about 3 more corners, I'm sure.
So, Larry, here I was mentioned, and I found this neat little stat about Sonoma Raceway. We were talking about all the great things going on.
Not going to talk
Sonoma.
about sheep, are you?
No, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about the woolly weeders and the sheep. I'm not going to talk about the owls that kill all the rodents. I mean, it is a great track for all that. But so, and this is what really surprised me as we watch on screen this battle between Horan and McGrew, is that apparently back in 2011, Panasonic, in coordination with the track, they installed 1,700 solar panels at the track, and apparently, oh, look at that, going wide as they came through turn 7. That was, I believe,
Horan
ran wide there, and gave McGrew the position going through. Great little run there for McGrew. So apparently, all these solar panels that they put in at Sonoma Raceway, they offset and can make up to about and cover about 40 to 45% of all the electricity needs at the facility. Now, when Larry and I were last there, which was back in 2018, we had a power outage that lasted, what, about 4 hours?
Long enough that the folks stuck at the top of, what is it, the 9-story control tower were unhappy to have to use the stairs to go down and up.
Yeah, go down about go down like 8 floors or something like that. That we strung generators and the longest power cords that we could find. But you know, I would have thought that if those solar panels would cover like 40% of the electricity, they could have at least gotten something up and running. Apparently not. But I thought you might find that mildly amusing as we watch this battle continue right now. With Fike and Cranston going at it, and again, Cranston in the open class.
And just to show you how much fun they're having, this is not a battle for class, right? Because Fike is running in the pro, Cranston's running in open. These guys are kind of locked into their positions, and neither one of them. I mean, Fike could catch up to Jacobs, 2 seconds up the road there. But otherwise, these guys are going to keep battling it out because they're just having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, yeah, exactly. At this point, it's not for a podium. We had a little bit of brake lockup from Jordy Fike as he went down in turn 4, but didn't seem to hurt him all that much. And it looks like now somewhat disengaged from that battle is Jeffrey Cranston. As we jump back here, look at this Soto now. As we take a look, Josh Soto with is that Gortson right beside him? That is the 25 car.
This is Kia McNulty.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I was watching the battle with Soto for a moment there. All right. Yep.
These guys are going to keep going side by side all the way through 2 and 3.
Yeah. And continuing on up the hill, and now joining into the battle as well is that Parson? I believe that is
Parsono and Brockway.
Parsono in the 56 car along for the ride as well. Yeah, it's getting awfully tight here now with just a couple of
Well, that's what happens when you start going side by side here for too long. It is very slow, and you tend to invite friends to the party.
Yeah, it starts to stack up very, very quickly here.
Yes.
All right, as we watch the 98 of Key and the 25 of.
We are about 4 minutes, a little less than 4 minutes from the end, running at about 1:45. That puts us a little about 3 laps or so from the end. Elvis Rankin with a pretty solid, almost 6 seconds lead over Mike Dam. The only battle up there, maybe about 1 second separating your podium finish there for third spot between Zach Burke and John Allen.
And our former leader, John Allen, there. And there it is right now as we watch John Allen come back behind the tower, the drag strip tower, and it looks to be maybe less than a second right there as they go into turn 11. Again, this is the battle for the last step on the podium with the 13 of Burke, the 101 of John Allen.
We should have 2 laps to go this time by with just about 3 minutes to go, less than. So there should be two good laps in. So, and John Allen's going to start pressuring. He talked earlier that if he has a move to make, he's got 2 of his favorite passing zones. He wasn't really willing to share them with us. I suspect he's going to be trying them both on the next 24 corners.
I would definitely be watching, going through the S's, having watched John Allen race here at Sonoma Raceway before, as we go on board behind the wheel with John Allen, and you can see now it runs wide coming out of turn 4, loses a bit of ground to our current third place runner Zach Burke, and whatever ground that Allen had made up, as quickly as he makes it up, he loses it again.
Yeah, that is definitely not. That's that. We talked earlier about the treacherous nature of that turn 4. If you just turn in a little bit late, a little bit wrong, even a little bit too early, you catch curb, you lose it. But he didn't lose a ton of ground. He's able to maintain. He can stay in the gas. He's right back on him, and I do wonder if Allen had possibly taken tires, because he definitely has pace here at the end of this race. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm thinking. And again, his pit stop being considerably longer than the other drivers at the front. That last time by, he ran a 1:45.6. That is a half a second faster
there he is,
than
off
Zach
again.
Burke.
Yeah, he's trying everything right now. Not really too worried about the 1Xs at this point. He's probably not going to get the safety bonus point for this one, but he's got somewhere around 14 corners left to try it, with 12 corners of the track plus 2 corners. We'll call 1 more corner to go, as we should be getting white flag. Elvis Rankin leading the race by 5.5 seconds over Mike Dam, and then we've got this battle right now. Third, the final
they're
step
coming
of the
up on
podium.
some slower traffic right now. That's the 51 car of Robert Brist, right ahead of this battle for third as they make their way out of turn 2.
Oh, that's going to play right into John Allen's hands.
And we'll see as Brist pulls over, lets both Burke and Allen by. Looked for a moment there as though Burke did have to let out of the throttle just a little bit, coming through turn 3 as they now come back down into turn 4. John Allen looking a lot more tidy this time around when it really counts, but he is about 2.5 car lengths back.
Burke is doing a great job on this lap of just hitting every single mark. I haven't seen him even put a tire wrong since he came around the hairpin at the end of the previous lap, and you can see the gap is reflecting that. Now it's up to 0.8 between these two. Zach Burke trying to make sure that whatever he had left on these tires, he's going to use them here on this last lap.
Yeah, now this is where John Allen made up ground the last time by, going into turn number 7, but at this point still about 2.5 car lengths back, and he's running out of time. He's running out of corners here. As we jump back up to our leader, that is Elvis Rankin as he comes back behind the drag strip tower, going down into turn 11 for the very last time.
And what a show he's really put on today. Just showing the patience early on to just let the race come to him, the perfect pit stop, and the perfect second part of this second stint of the race after the stop. Well-earned victory for Elvis Rankin.
There you go, and crossing the start-finish line, taking the win today in the Classic Sports Car Series is Elvis Rankin. Mike Dam will cross the stripe in the number 93 car second, and here's that battle for the last step on the podium. Taking third place will be Zach Burke, with John Allen finishing in 4th. Now let's jump back a little bit further in the field. This is the battle for 12th. Right now, it is the 09 car.
Yep, this is that Fike and Jacobs. We talked about Fike was battling. Fike was battling with Cranston for a while. Fike finally shook Cranston. Now he's got about 3 more corners to make a shot, to make a pass on Jeff Jacobs. Let's see if he's able to possibly stick his nose in going to the kink here, or does he set him up to maybe make a pass going into the hairpin on the final corner?
He turned in a little early, made it very difficult there, and you can see pushes wide, but pushes wide, doesn't let out of the throttle, actually carries a lot of speed through there, but with the position going into the hairpin is the number 38 car.
It's going to be a big drag race.
Yeah, let's take a look now as Jacobs and Fike side by side coming through the final corner, and as they cross the stripe, it's gonna be the 09 car, Jordy Fike over Jeff Jacobs. That was the battle for that was the battle for I believe 12th in the pro class. A little bit further up, didn't mention it, taking the win in the open class, Brennan Horan in the number 1 car, or probably in the number 45 car, and a big story there is that is Brendan Horan's first win in the open class this season. This is the first time that Josh Soto has not finished on the top step of the podium in the open class.
Yep, solid win there for Horan. Well-deserved, good consistent run today, and really would have been 10th overall in the overall field, even if you were to put him into the pro class. So great to take a win there in the open for Brendan Horan.
And finishing 3rd in the open class, Jeffrey Cranston. So a great run by Jeffrey. And there he is taking his victory half lap and maybe some donuts. Elvis Rankin, don't hit the wall. Oh.
Don't ruin the brand new paint job. The new sponsor's paint job looks beautiful. Don't go messing it up with hitting the walls.
There we go. Now he's got at least a half donut there.
I'm a little partial to that paint job.
Well, we'll have to ask him. Right. And now whatever tires he didn't run down through the race, he did it there just here at the end. All right, so Larry, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and interview our podium here. You are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performer Elite Graphics from Sonoma Raceway. We'll be back in just a moment.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The official Road to Indy E-Series returning to iRacing Wednesday, 6:45 Eastern. Catch all the action live right here on Apex Racing TV.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And we're back with the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Elite Graphics from Sonoma Raceway. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry McLeod. And let's jump over, Larry, let's bring in Brendan Horan, who was our winner in the open class tonight.
All right. Talking to our winner of the open class tonight, Brendan Horan, taking his first victory of season 18 of the Classic Sprint Series. There's Brendan. Brendan Horan, our winner tonight in the open class here. Brendan, congratulations on taking your first victory this season. How's it feel to finally get a win?
Well, I was not expecting to get it here. I'll tell you that. You know, obviously I should be saying that I was the fastest driver tonight in the open class, but whatever Josh did in the pits, he threw it away. I was not comfortable here all week, and you know, nevertheless, I'm happy to be up here, but it was just a tough race for me.
Yeah, what is it about this place in terms of trying to get pace that seems to be the most challenging for you?
I don't know what it is. It might be the layout. It might be the fact that there's no grass and it's all sand and dirt. I don't know. I can just never get in the zone, and I feel like every lap I'm taking a different line, and none of them are fast lines.
The traffic looked like it was tough tonight as well. A lot of attempts at some two wides and things, driving with the mirrors, driving to your relative screen. Did you find some of that as well for your race tonight?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. And I didn't have my paints loaded tonight, so I didn't know who was in pro and open class, so I didn't know who I should pass for the win or who I shouldn't, or who I should just stay behind and get the points or something like that. But it was just, like I said, I was focused way more on the track and getting my line than the mirrors.
Yeah, we're just watching a bit of the replay of the opening lap. I think you were caught right there in that bit of an incident there with Jordy Fike and I think it would have been Greg Mack.
Greg Mack.
Did you any damage from that yourself, or just lucky to get out of that one?
It felt like I had a little bit of damage for the first few laps, but when I started catching the group ahead of me with Josh and David and Tom, I started to think that I didn't have damage. But when I got in the pits, I had a couple seconds of optional repairs, so obviously I did have some damage. I usually have a spotter to tell me that, but I didn't have them tonight. So, yeah, I felt a difference for the first few laps, but after that, it was fine.
Well, it's a well-earned victory. This place is tough. We were calling it the brown hell, referring to the no grass. Definitely a tough place to earn a victory, and well-deserved for you. So anybody you want to thank for your win tonight?
Oh, you guys, of course. I watch the
thanks.
broadcast while I'm
Thank you
racing,
very
and you give me some insider information on who's taking tires and who's not taking tires. And
it's a bad idea.
The league, of course, Extreme Motorsports and Ricmotech for putting this on. My mom, my grandparents, who are out in the living room right now watching the race, and yeah, I think that's about it. My team, obviously, I forgot about them. Team Esports Racer, Greg Mack, Greg Brockway, Mitchell Peak, Zach Burke, Jordy Fike. Just good guys to hang out with.
All right. Well, congratulations on the win tonight. Looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Brendan.
All right, Larry. Next up, we've got Josh Soto, finished second tonight. Sure, he's got a lot of insight into what happened in that pit stop.
All right, so we've got Josh Soto finished second in the open class tonight. Josh, after getting a couple of victories in the first couple of rounds, not able to take a win tonight, but you had an interesting pit stop. Why don't you walk us through a little bit about maybe what went on there?
Oh yeah, so I came to the pit. I wasn't really sure. I thought I had to do like 4 gallons of gas, but it ended up being a lot less. Ended up finishing the race with like 15% fuel left in the tank.
So you're ready for that 3-hour endurance?
I accidentally
say John Allen needs to talk to Josh.
The amount of fuel that I needed.
Yeah, sometimes there's miscalculations a little bit, but you're still though able to work your way back up and finish second in class. This place is exceptionally tough to fight through traffic. Were you finding some of that here tonight as well? Finding yourself in different battles and tough to get by?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I believe I had a little bit of contact at the very last turn. I misjudged my braking and the draft, and I accidentally tapped the back of I believe it was David Patone. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it was a pretty solid race for me.
Yeah, well, it definitely a well-deserved podium finish there in the open class, and certainly a great points pickup for you as well. Opening that lead up a little bit, so congratulations on that, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Josh. All right, so I think we're going to bring in our overall winner tonight, Elvis Rankin. All right, so bringing in the number 1, Elvis Rankin. And first, Elvis, I got to say first, welcome to the Apex Racing TV racing team. But congratulations on this win tonight. It was not easy. Why don't you walk me through a little bit of your evening?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's definitely a interesting one. I was just trying to keep smooth all night. It seems like the past couple of weeks, I think I've said it before, I just have the pace, have the strategy in my hand, and I just make a mistake, just then throw it away. So tonight I was just being nice and cautious and just, obviously I let Alan take the lead towards the beginning of the race, got a little bit of studying and just seeing where he was better than me. and kind of adapted and came into the pit stops, knew I had saved the gas, and maybe he had not because he was out in front burning the fuel, and able to get that 3.5 second gap on him and Mike Dam, and then just kind of put it on cruise control, and then kind of pushed when I needed to when I had those fresh tires, and then backed off the pace just to make sure I didn't make that dumb mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. You looked like you were certainly in total control of the race once you were able to make that that pit stop, and the patience definitely paid off for you for this win. But I got to ask, does it feel a little different now being on a different team from Mike Dam and Hartley and the guys that you were running with Orion? Is there a little bit of a different feel that there is more of the rivalry now than what you had before?
Ooh, that's a tough one because when we were teammates and before even that, we were great rivals, and we would compete for race wins and championships. And I'd say it really didn't change. Obviously, off the track, we're still good friends. We can chat and have all that fun stuff. But when we come on the track, it's business as usual, just like how it was before. So I wouldn't say much has changed. Just different logos and maybe not as much information shared.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know who that's going to hurt or help is the information sharing, but it certainly didn't seem to hinder you at all tonight with this victory. As at the end of this race, you clearly had that pace, just continued to just pull away. This is a very, very tough track. Do you find this is one of your, where's this rank? A favorite, not favorite? Where does Sonoma fit for you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's some good ones on the software. I would say that this is like a track that a lot of people don't like, but I'm actually a fan of it. It flows really nice. It's got a little bit of elevation change, and yeah, it's definitely an interesting track because it seems like, kind of like in a weird way, it's kind of like Phillip Island. It's nice and flowy, and it has that nice little hairpin towards the end of the track. And same as Phillip Island, it's going to be, if you got a couple cars close and good on pace, a drag race to the line. So yeah, I think this is definitely in the top tier, maybe towards the bottom of that top tier, but it's definitely in the top tier.
Okay. Yeah, well, your pace definitely showed tonight, able to hold off all the challengers and not make the big mistake as some of the other guys continue to make. And that's how races are won and ultimately how championships are won. And right now, getting your second victory of the season puts you well in front here early in this middle part of the season here with in the points. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure now with the new team, you've got to thank a few folks for this victory.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, for sure. I want to thank Apex Racing Team for just, picking me up and taking a gamble on me, I feel. I know I've proven pace, but still I know that there's a long way for me to climb. So thank you to those guys. Our team sponsors as well, SDK Gaming, VRS, Simpsons PC Systems, and Apex Racing Academy, also in HPP and Mark. Just all those guys that keep us on the track every week. And without those guys, we wouldn't be where we are today. So, yeah, thank you to those guys. Thank you to you guys as well for broadcasting the race on Apex Racing TV. Really appreciate it. And then, yeah, Extreme Motorsports 99 and league admins, Rick, the owner. Without him, and he started this wouldn't be a thing. And then Kevin, Jeff, and then Ryan. Thank you to those guys. They put on the show for all of us behind the scenes. So big thank you to those guys. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, wait. My mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, and everyone that just supports me on and off the track in real life or in sim. Thank you to those guys. Definitely cannot forget those guys tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't go anywhere without that team supporting you. So that's awesome. On and off the track, as you say, real life and sim racing. So, yeah. Cool. Well, congratulations on the win, Elvis. Looking forward to seeing you next week in one of our other Ricmotech series, and I'm sure you'll do well there. Well, looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, that was Elvis Rankin, winner tonight in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. That's his second win of the season, cements his lead in the pro class. And Larry, why don't we, and I think you had the best segue, why don't we take a look at some of our upcoming events here in the different Ricmotech series?
I'm so excited about some of these upcoming races. This is going to be awesome.
Absolutely. All right. So next week we have the sports car series, Larry. They're going to be heading to your back door, just about your back door. They're going to be at Detroit Belle Isle, home of the Detroit Grand Prix. That is, like tonight, going to be a 60-minute race. Time is 8 p.m. next Monday night, March 15th. Then in 2 weeks, the Ricmotech World Challenge takes its first green flag on the other side of the ocean. They're going to be heading to Belgium to Spa, home of Eau Rouge. Catch the LMP2, the GTE, and the GT3 cars on March 22nd. Again, 2 weeks from now, 8 p.m. And then the Classic Sprint Series. They are going to be back, those Mazda MX-5s, in 3 weeks at Detroit Belle Isle. Once again, like tonight, a 60-minute race, and you can catch them 8 p.m. March 29th. So, Larry, want to thank you for another great evening of racing. And, of course, we want to make sure that all of our fans come back and join us next week. And, of course, if you ever want to find out more information about the Ricmotech classes, the Classic Sprint Series, the World Challenge, or the Sports Car Series, you can get more information at www.extrememotorsports99.com. Again, I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry McLeod. I want to thank both Alex Simpson and Dennis Branch behind the controls with Apex Racing TV, and we'll see you next week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.